these two sessions this week, these are the last sessions for Python. So whatever you will be learning, it will be sufficient for you to do the data analytics within the Python. شما اسکرین من رو میبینین؟
بله استاد.
Okay, good. من یکم نوشتایش چطور از زوم کنم که ندیدم. I think اینمی کافی باشه بگه. Okay. درس ما رو شروع میکنیم. So we will be starting today and we will be starting with introduction to pandas. So this will be start of the whenever you are starting with the pandas with any packages within the Python, you have to first of all import it. Import pandas as an alias. So you have to put it as PD. You can put it whatever you want, but just as PD, which is everyone is just actually doing that. Something standard. We will be coming to some of the basic data structures within the pandas. So within the pandas, we have series. What is series? Series is actually its type of just put it like this. Series is actually type of list of data. We used to understand this previously, for example, but now let's remember it again. So this is a type of list actually. List or array, it was called, this is a type of list of integers. This list was called during when we learned NumPy, it was called array. Now, when we are entering into the pandas, it's called series. Series is actually one-dimensional array. So it is actually it's a type of labeled indexes. Think of series, for example, like a column. So I demonstrated to you this in one of our previous sessions, that just assume that this series is type of column. So if you have a Google Sheets, and within that Google Sheets, for example, have data. This is 10, 20, 30, 40. So this is how we demonstrated that. In NumPy, we call this an array. In pandas, we call it as a series. So this is how series work. Now, in order to define, this is just a list, but in order to make it to convert it into the pandas and into the series, you have to call a specific function from the pandas package in order to convert this just list of numbers into a series, into a column, which pandas should understand it as a series. In order to do that, we just have that list. Now let's call PD, which is pandas dot. There's a method for this called, for example, series method. What this data should be converted to series. Now print series. This is now series. See, we had a list, and now convert that list into the series just as a column, which pandas understand that. What is the good thing about series? That each row within a series has its own index. See, this is element 0, this is element 1, this is element 2, this is element 3. And at the end, it has its type, its integer. So this is how now understanding just we started with introduction of a column to the pandas. What is actually pandas? Pandas is like Excel for Python, similar to Excel. So whatever you're doing in Excel or just the structure of those rows, columns, all those things, it's the same as pandas. Whatever data frames, whatever data sets you have, all those data sets, we will be using, analyzing them using pandas. And this is the standard one that pandas can do. Pandas can do the analytics of Excel files, Google Sheet files, CSV, comma separated values, and all other types of data files. Now, if you have want to, for example, just element number 1 of this series, you want to print element number 1 of this series. So element number 1, see, this is 20. Actually, this is the second element, but in order to make it proper, that Python starts calculating the series or the elements from 0. So this is how you can call the elements within the series. So if you just put it 3, it will give you the number 40. If you just put 4, it gives you an error. It says value error. What it says that there is no element 4. 4 is not in range, so it's out of range. So you have just that. If you just 0, then you will be having number 10. So this is how you can call the elements or within the within the data, within the series. Now, this was series, yeah? This is called series. In pandas, we were calling that an array. Now, what is data frame? Data frame is actually a two-dimensional tabular data structure. So it is actually similar to a table or a spreadsheet, for example. See, this is now we have, now if we have values, for example, again 12, 15, 16, 18. So this is now a table type, yeah? This table is called data frame. It is a two-dimensional tabular data structure. So see, this whole thing is tabular data. These are the columns, these are the rows. So this is called tabular structure. This is the tabular structure within the Python. So just let's now create a data frame, a simple table within the pandas, within the Python. How we can create tables or tabular formats within the pandas. We can create that using the dictionaries. You may remember the dictionaries. Now it's the way that let's see how we can use dictionary, for example. So within dictionaries, for example, we will be having a column called name. In that column, name will have, for example, values like Ahmad, and then another value will be, for example, like Arizona, and another, for example, like this is one column called name. Let's define another column, age of these people. So assume that we have just numbers. We have 25. We have, for example, 33. We have 35. So these are just the ages. Then we have another column, which is called country. And then there's another list. For example, we have stump. We have, for example, uh, USA, and we have, for example, country like Germany. These are just the countries, and this is just a dictionary. So this is the key. These are the values. Key value. Key value. See, this is type of dictionary. Now we convert a list into a series. Now we have dictionary. We want to convert this dictionary into a data frame. Data frame, usually they're using a DF data frame, for example, as a standard thing. How to convert something into data frame? This is the function that you have to use. Previously, we used pd.series. Now you're using pd.dataframe. Remember, D is capital, F is also capital, data frame. Here, S is also capital. So please, if you don't use specific method name within the pandas, it will not work. And now let's print div, see how div looks like. This is how the table you have created. Name, age, country. Name is Ahmad, persona, persona with two A's, it's okay. Bob, ages are 25 accordingly, 30, 35 accordingly, countries like Afghanistan, USA, Germany, according. So this is how you created a tabular data, a data frame from a specific dictionary. Now, assume that you don't have a dictionary, but you have an Excel file or CSV file that we had previously. Yeah? How to load that actually? How to load that specific CSV file? Now let's load our specific file that we had, if you remember, uh, the file from uh, the homework. See, now I just mounted my Google Drive. You have to understand how you're just mounting your Google Drive. Yeah, so
Sorry, we don't have your voice.
yeah, I didn't talk. I'm just copying the path of the file. I just copied the path of my file. I found the file. I found the file in my Google Drive. I found the file there. I just copied that file, the path of that file, as I showed you previously. Now I mentioned that we created a data frame. Now instead of creating a data frame, we already have a data frame. How to call that data frame? Let's define it, for example, df again. In order to call a data frame, we use another function which is called read CSV. And then we have to put the path to that file there. So this is the path of the file which I have. And let's run it, see if it works. it works. This is how you can call a specific data frame if you have it previously saved instead of creating that. So we had a data frame or a data a file, and we just called it within pandas. In order to call that, that file was CSV file. So we just called CSV file, use the CSV function, and then the path to that CSV file. This is the path of my file where my file is saved. Then I call that. Then this is how the data set looks like. So this is the um, mm, data frame that we used previously, and I call that data frame again. Now let's explore some of how to explore the data. Whenever you have loaded the data frame, then how to explore it. So the head function, it means it will just explore a few rows from the 5 number of rows from the head of the file. You can say only 3 rows, for example. Within the head, you can just say, okay, just only 3 rows, and bring the 3 rows for me. Or just if you leave it blank, it will just load 5 rows. So see, this is 0 to 4, it will be 5. So it gives you an overview how your data looks like. You can call a column a method which is called info. What is info? Info brings all your data frame and all the information within the data frame. Look, starting from here, range index. This is 5 entries. So this data set has only 5 entries. It means 5 rows. Indexes are from 0 to 4 because Python calculates from 0. Data columns. It has total 9 columns. If you calculate all these columns, there are 9 columns. Now, name of each column. See, first column name is employee ID. It has 5 non-null elements. It means all elements are there. If you have a missing value, if you have an empty value, then this will be changed. It will be 4. It will be 3. So whatever missing values you have, those missing values will not be calculated. And then D type, data type for that column. What type of data is within that column? Whenever you're loading data sets, you have to, first of all, review all the columns, review all the numbers here, because numbers are important. If you have, for example, here 3 null elements, then it means you have 2 missing values here. So before doing any analysis, you have to deal with the missing values. How to deal with the missing values? Or, for example, you have salary, and within salary, it says that right now it's integer, yeah? Salary should be integer, yeah? But it says object, which is, for example, a string, text. You cannot do the group by them, or you cannot do any arithmetic calculation on a column which is not integer. You will be assuming that, okay, the salary is the, look, this is number. These are numbers. But you have to check all the time the data type, all the time, that either the data type is appropriate data type or not. If you have salary and this data type is not integer and it is text, for example, yeah, string or object, as pandas call it object, then it means that if you do any sum, for example, sum, what is sum of texts? Nothing. Sum only works, mean, median, all those arithmetic calculations only works if you have integers or floats, yeah? So numbers, you can do those with numbers. Or for example, gender. Gender is something, it should be object, yeah? Male, female. And if this data type is not appropriate, and it is just, for example, integer, then whatever you're doing with gender, it won't give you the proper understanding of your calculation. All the type, whenever you're loading any data set, and you want to analyze that data set, info function is very much important. First of all, you have to get the head, that how the data set looks like. Then you have to go to the info and see item. So from this info, you can understand how many number of data are missing. Because before, if one of the good main things before doing any analytics, you will be at the end of this course, you will be data analysts and advanced data analysts. For those people, you will be in the position to clean the data. You have a data set and there are lots of missing values, inaccuracies, inappropriate columns, names, all those things. And no one will tell you, okay, how to do that. You have to find it by yourself, how to do that. So data types, missing values, and all these are very much important. So important numbers here. See, it says you have 3 integers within this data set and 6 items, objects, or strings, column types. And this is memory usage. So this is this much of bytes it gets this data frame all the time. So these are important functions that you have to understand. What is describe actually? Describe is it's one of the very important things whenever you're doing descriptive analytics. Describe is actually giving you the descriptive analytics of all integer columns. You have salary integer column, you have performance score integer column, and you have job satisfaction integer column. So see, salary, performance, job satisfaction. Describe only takes the mathematical columns, the number columns, integer or float ones, and provide you with the descriptive analytics of those columns. So now let's see if you had another, if you have, for example, another column which is numerical column here, and the data type is not numerical, then that column will not be appearing here. So you see, this is how if everything is step by step very much important. So first of all, you have to take care of the data types, then you have to take care of the going to the description, because within the description, if a column is not numerical, then you will not have access to the descriptive analytics of that column. So we have now salary. Salary, what's count? It means 5 rows, 5 non-nil numbers. It means 5 rows which has numbers there within the salary column. Mean average salary column is 64,400 per year. So this is average salary column. See, so it gets all the salaries. It gets all the salaries of a data set. All of them, and make it sum of all of them, and then divide it by the number of these rows. So this is how it automatically calculates for you the mean or average of the salary column. Standard deviation. What is standard deviation? Standard deviation, we will be talking about standard deviation in detail when we are going to do the statistics class. But you have to just understand that the standard deviation means how much is on standard basis as a point is far from the mean. So you have a mean. Now you have mean. This is the average. By standard, on average basis, all other salaries, how much they are far. The most far and the most close to them, then they are getting the average of that. So this is called the standard deviation. It means it shows the distance of the salary, other salaries from the mean. So if it's higher, it shows the data is dispersed too much. If it is lower, it shows that there is a conformity within the data. So there is no disbursement of data or distribution of data. So this is how standard deviation means. Minimum salary is 50,000, and 25% of all salaries, 25% of all salaries are within 60,000. It means 50% of salaries, 50% of salaries or 65,000. You know, it means if you have, for example, 100 columns, And 50% means 65,000. It means 50% of all those columns are from 0 to 65,000. 70%, 75%, this is called 75 percentile. This is all shows the distribution of data. So starting from the minimum to maximum. Minimum salary is 50,000, maximum salary is 75,000. But all salaries, half of all salaries are from 0 to 65,000. 75% of all salaries is from 0 to 72,000. And only maximum we have 175,000 salary. So you see that 50% of all salaries are around 65,000, which is very close to that mean. It means that we have a very good distribution of salary within the columns. You know what I'm saying? 50% of all salaries are from 0 to 65,000. And mean is also 64,000. It means this is close to that, and we have a good distribution of data. However, statistically, this is not significant, and we will be having other calculations about this later on. We will go into very detail of what this means, but still, just to give you an overview of how it works. This is performance score. We have 5 rows of performance score. 5 non-null. It means 5 rows which are having scores. Standard mean average of all performance scores are 85.4. So this is the average score uh, uh, of performance from 100. Standard deviation, it means the distance from mean and from the um, data points. It's around 5 points, which is very less. Minimum performance score is 79. Uh, in maximum, performance score is 92. 50% of performance scores are from 0 to 85, which is close to the mean. So job satisfaction, we have 5 rows, non-null. Standard deviation, average of job satisfaction is 4 from 5. Standard deviation is 0.7, which is less than 1. Minimum job satisfaction is 3, maximum job satisfaction is 5. So this is how the descriptive analytics gives you all the description of these columns within within a data frame. These are very important things, please. We will be doing it in our coursework. We will be having several courseworks, so we will be doing it in practical, but you have to understand all the concepts step by step to proceed from when you're doing analytics of the data frames. Despite of having that we have this type of data, but still you can check the data types separately. So this is how you can check the data types separately. You can call df and then d types. This is a method, and it gives you a proper list of each column with its data type, because data type is also very important. Despite within info you can understand it, but if you want just specific function to check specific data types, so you can use d types as well. Now I mentioned about the missing values. So how to find the missing values? So sometimes for our data set, which is this data set, is very easy. See, this is very easy. That we have only 5-6 rows, we have only 9 columns. But if you have, for example, a data frame which has 150 columns, so this will be a long list. If right now we have only 9 columns, this is very easy to go through all the columns and understand the data types. But you have 150 columns, for all those columns going column by column, and then see how much missing value, noting that it's very difficult. There is a very simple method to understand the missing value. It's called SNA. SNA is nil value, yeah, within not a valid number within a or a missing value within row. It finds that within the data frame, and we can call the method of sum. So see, this method sums gives us the sum of all nil values within this data frame. Now it goes column by column. Employee ID 0. 0 means there is no missing value. If you have the missing value, it could be 1, 2, 3 missing values. It can give you that number of missing values. For example, you had 2 missing values and you have 5 rows. So here, for example, it would give you 2 missing values. And in info, here it will give you 3 non-null. It means 3 values are existing, and it's not talking about non-existing values. And here it will just give you the missing values. So here it's not calculating the whole number of how many rows are there, how many are from them are missing. It just gives you the missing values here. And info method, it gives you the full. For example, this is all the numbers, and if it's 3, it means you have to calculate it by yourself. Okay, I have 5 rows, and now I have, for example, 3 rows here. It means 2 are missing here. But you know, this is easy because we have 5 rows. But if we have, for example, 178,000 rows, then you have, for example, several hundreds or missing values, then it will be very difficult for you to calculate do the maths there for all the columns there. So this is how the easy way is, just to call this function and understand how many values are there um, uh, missing. In order to deal with the missing values, you have two methods. You will be having lots of methods. We will be examining all those methods differently, but I will just give you two very standard methods. But those are not the way that you will be using it all the time. One of the things that if you have thousands of rows, you will just use a function called drop now, and you can say, okay, in place, make it true. It means that if you have non-values, missing values, you have, for example, 1000 rows, numbers within a data frame, but you have only missing values 3 or 4, yeah? And you say, okay, so I have 1000 rows, yeah, and I have only 3 missing values. So let's ignore the 3 missing values. Just drop it from the data set. I don't want to make it part of my analytics. This is the function that you're dropping those rows, actually. This is called drop now. Drop now, it means dropping all those missing values. In place means, yes, within the data set, within this div, which I have, just drop it. It means it will impact the original data frame. So the original data frame that you have loaded, if you choose in place, it means within that data set, that number will be changed automatically. If you choose it not, so it will actually, you have to make a copy of that data frame for non-missing values. So this is how it takes place. In place true is a bit sensitive sometimes because you're dropping value, a missing value. Then you remember, oh, why I did this. I don't want to drop that. I want to be that. It should be part of my analytics. Then you have to, it will be a bit difficult for you to just go back and from the beginning, load the data set and change the in place to false. But still, this is one of the methods that you can use it. This just drops the missing values. Also, you can fill the values with a specific, for example, um, here the same. You can use it in place and true or false. What is fill? Filna means it means you want to fill all the missing values with a specific another value. For example, here I just put this value as not known. Yeah, but you don't want to put it as not known. You can just put 0. You can just put, for example, uh, NA. You can just put is not surveyed. Anything, whatever you want to put it here, you can just put that number, and all missing values will be replaced with that. Now let's come into a bit understand the missing values. And look, I'm just demonstrating this for you that you will understand between the missing values, between the 0. There is a difference between 0 and missing values. First of all, for example, here you have 10, 20, 30, 40. Yeah? If you have not having a value, this is called in pandas missing value. This is called missing value. There is no value there. Now why it's important? For example, you want to understand the average of this column, yeah? And you have one missing value here. Okay, now I want to understand the average of this column. I can do a direct, calling a direct function, but I don't want to use that. I want to show you that how you'll do that. Okay, let's do the sum of these ones. Okay, and divide the sum by what? By number of columns which has values. Here we have 1, 2, 3. We have 3. This is the average of column, 26.6. Okay. Like this something. This is the mean. With missing value. See, this is the missing value. But if you put 0 here, just assume same column. I will copy, put it here. If I put 0 here and want to calculate the average for this column again, what will happen? All the numbers divided by how many rows? 1, 2, 3, 4. By 4. Did you find what happened here? Here I have 0. 0 is a value. 0 is not a missing value. 0 is a value. So you have to be very cautious whenever you are dealing with the missing values. Missing values, it doesn't mean that this is 0. 0 is a value in Python, in calculations, all the time. There is a value and it's called 0. So see, and this is a valid value. Missing value means that there is nothing there. This is called missing value. But 0 is a value here. You see how it affects if you don't understand the difference between the missing value and 0 value. Yeah, this is how it affects your calculations. Average of this column is 26.7, and here it's 20. Almost 7 numbers difference between your calculations. So when we are talking about the 0, about the missing values, all the time we are calling about such type of values, which there is nothing. But if there is zero, zero is a valid. So this is, please all the time be aware of how you're dealing between the zero values and between the missing values. Missing value means the value which is not existing there. So this is there is a missing value. But this is here, all the values are proper. Zero is a value there. It's not missing. I hope I explained this properly. Now, during the statistics, we will be explaining this properly, much more in detail from theoretical point of view. But this is how we will be doing right now. Okay, now we can select a specific column. For example, we have a DF column, and we want to just select a specific column. Let's just select employee name. This is a specific column. From that data frame, you can just call a specific column. This is the good thing about the pandas. Instead of loading the whole data set, you can just have a specific column. Okay, employee name, and then let's call another column as well, salary. Okay, I will not do that. I will just leave this that way. I will call another column. Employee name and salary. Now there is another data frame that look. If you call one column, you can just put it in this way. See, this way. One of these parentheses, square parentheses. But if you want to put a list of columns, several columns, you have to put another square parenthesis as well here. See, two of them is required because first of them will act as a filter. It will just do the filter of that, and another one will just put it within the data frame and bring you the picture of this how the data frame will look like, a proper data frame that you will understand it properly. So I just call this data frame and by the name of them. But accordingly, I can do the same thing with uh, accessing rows, for example, using lock or ilock method. What is lock and ilock method? Sometimes, for example, it was difficult for me, yeah. So the columns are very easy. You see, you just put the column names. I got these column names from here. This is the info. See, for info, I have all the column names. I'll just copy this column, make it copy, and bring it here, for example. Paste it again, run, and just instead of having all 9 columns, I need just 3 of them. Okay, this is my new data set. In order to make it temporarily saved somewhere, just call it div1. Div1 is equal to main data set, but only some of them. Yeah. Now you made a temporary data set div1. Div1 is just 3 of them. It means whatever you're doing at div1, it will not impact and affect the div, the whole main data frame. So it's just as another extracted data frame from the main one. But if I want to, for example, call a specific row, how to do that? Let's do, for example, div.lock. Lock is a method. For example, you just call row 0. Now, what is row 0? Row 0 is this row, yeah? This row. Whenever you're calling a data set with, so first of all, what we have done, we understand how to call the specific columns. See, specific column, column names, several columns. You know. But if you want to proceed with calling a specific row, then this is the way, one of the ways. It's called lock. For example, I want to have a look at row 0. This is row 0. Employee ID is name is James Wilson, which is names is James Wilson. Department is sales. Joining date is, so we called this on DF, yeah, on the main data set. Just call it on DF1 on this data set in order to make it very easy for you to understand. See from this row 0. This is row 0. Name is James Wilson. Salary is 50,000. Gender is male. This is, you can call any rows. For example, let's call row 4. Row 4 is Michael Johnson. Salary is 65,000. Gender is male. This is how you can call by label, for example. But if you want to call it by position, you can also do another method which is called iLog. Yeah. So just assume we have iLog. It's also by position. If one and by 1 and by 2 by 3, it's the same. One is accessing the rules using log and iLog. So within this simple data set, there is no difference between log and iLog that you can understand it right now. But when we're having a huge number of data set, there is a difference between the calling a row by position and calling a row by label. So one is label and another is position. So if you remember within the data frames, within the lists, we were calling elements, yeah? Within the NumPy, we were calling specific elements, finding a specific elements within those arrays. Similarly, within the pandas, you can use log and iLog, but we will be exploring this when you're dealing with with the large data sets and showing you practical how it works. In some versions of Python, pandas recently, it has changed significantly, and I will explain those changes for you as well, how you can understand those changes. Another thing that we will be using is, for example, filtering of the columns. For example, we have this data set, and within this data set, I want to find people. I want to just find male employees. How to filter that, for example? Let's call male employees is like this data frame, df, and again, you have to define within this data frame a filter. What is the filter there? Filter is the df where gender is male. This is the filter, yeah? You will just call the same filter here again. And then print male and see what happens. Get IPython. So we have we don't have IPython here.
Filters.
I really don't know what is gender here, yeah? Yes, hello gender. Why it has been changed to IPython. However, look, we defined a filter here for this data set, yeah? Within this data set, we've defined that we want the data frame only for male, where the gender should be male. It means the column gender, if it's male, so then we want to print that data frame. This filter, we put it within the data frame. And this is now the the number of that type of data frame that only male is there. See, gender is only male, so it just printed this male data frame. Let's make it proper without print function. If you just use direct mail, it will be using direct print is Python universal function. Calling data frame directly, it's relevant to pandas. So we are working with pandas, so that will be easy for us. See, it brings us the data frame where all the employees are male. See, this gender is all male. Similar, you can do something else, for example. You can do data frame where the performance score is sorry, I will not change this because we will be needing this, yeah, at the end of our lectures, so that you have to understand that. We will define another filter. We will define a filter where performance score, if performance score is higher than 85, so I need just only that data frame where the performance score is more than 85. So I have two employees where the performance score is more than 85. One is in UK, one is in Canada. See, this is how you can do the filtering. I think here again I should put genders. This is how you can do that. It's called Boolean indexing, but it's type of filtering on pandas datasets. We can add new columns as well if we want to. For example, we can define a new column. You can say, okay, I want to define a new column called base salary. I have a column right now, yeah? It's salary, yeah? But a salary. I want to have another column which is base salary. Base salary is the minimum salary that they have to get, for example. Everyone should get it, for example. Let us check. It's just an assumption, yeah, that we can do adding a new column called base salary, then add it as a list. For example, everyone should have a base salary of 40,000, and I think it's 35,000. 35,000 in the US, 25,000 is in the UK, and similarly, 30,000 in Canada. US is again 35,000. Australia, I think, also 32,000. So this is a type of base salary we added to that data frame. If you call the data frame now you have a salary column, and at the end you have a base salary column. So you can add base salary column or any type of other columns into your data frame, whatever you want. So this is how you can add a column. Similarly, for example, you can drop a column. So we add this base salary, and then at the end you said, no, this column, I have to delete this column. There is a function called drop. Drop what? Drop base salary column. Drop base salary column. Axis should be equal to 1, and in place it means within that data frame that we add, it should be true. Now let's see if our final DF has base salary or not. It's not working because we already did this. And there is no base salary found because base salary already we ran the file, yeah? If you run the file and base salary is dropped, again you are running the file, there is no base salary. See, there is no base salary. It's dropped. So this has dropped in the column that you just created. So, or for example, adding something to a column. Okay, I said, oh, I got new data. The new data is that from next week, for example, all the salaries will be increased by 5,000. Okay, so DF salary will be DF salary from next week as 5,000. So see, right now we have 5,000, 75,000, 60,000, 70,000. So starting from next week, all the salaries will be increased. Good. See, all the salaries have been increased. See, it was 50,000, now it's 55,000. 75, 80. 60, 65, 72, 77. See how you can update the columns as well automatically within them. And there's also one of the interesting methods within the data frames that you can drop duplicates. Drop duplicates are very important. And similarly, you can choose in place or not in place, true or false. But we will choose in place if there are duplicates. There are several duplicate columns you can have. For example, here, see, you can have another column, for example, here. It's now uh, very easy for you, but right now, for example, B, C, but again D, and then again A, again C, again. So you have columns which are duplicated. See here, rows that these are duplicated. Here, how data frames work? Just drop those duplicates. Get only without having duplications. But drop duplicates, it's a bit tricky one. You have to understand it properly because first of all, you have to understand that what you want to drop. You want to drop a unique column, a column with unique values. You want to drop that or how? For example, if you want to drop duplicates here, for example, see, in this column, it will be a disaster. You can have country, in that country can be duplicated several times. It can be, for example, several times USA, several times UK. An employee can be, several employees can be from USA, several employees can be from UK, several employees can be from any places. So if you call drop duplicates on a specific column, you have to understand that that duplicates will not affect the credibility of your data. So you cannot just drop duplicate. In gender, it will be a disaster if you just drop duplicates. It means you will just have only two rows remain at the end. See, this is how you have to very much, but this is very interesting. If you have a unique employee ID, here is a unique key for this data set, this unique employee ID. It means that your company will not have another employee with the same ID. Yeah? So it's obvious. You will be having one employee by one ID. And you cannot have two employees by one ID. Yeah? That's not possible. So if there are duplicates within this column and you want to drop it, then that works. It's logical, yeah. But you cannot even by name. You can have several names Ahmad, for example. You cannot drop all those ones. So you have to find a unique column and then do the duplicates dropping by that unique columns. Another thing which we used previously on other things that on during the arrays and list. Here also we can do that. That's sort values, for example. Sort values by what? We have a column and we want to sort values by what? By, for example, by which column? let's call by salary column. Now you have a data set which is sorted by salary column. From the C, automatically it sets from the lowest to the highest. Now let's see another thing. This is a function called ascending. I thought ascending is something happened to my column. I really don't know what's happening, but it will work again. It's now thinking. I don't know why it's thinking. But ascending and descending. So ascending, it means from A to Z, and descending from Z to A. So if you're just saying ascending false, it means it is actually descending. Yeah, it means it should be from Z to A. So it means the highest salary will be the top, and then the lowest salary will be mm, at the bottom. Now see, this is the same thing. Ascending, which was A to Z, we said no, don't do A to Z. So it means automatically it gets Z to A, yeah? So now it's Z to A. 80,000, 77, 70, 65. So the same thing, you can do that all the time. These are the sort values. We can do the PF group by. You understand the group by. Group by is very important. For example, you use the group by, and it means you're grouping a data set by a specific column. But if you're grouping by specific column, consequently, you have to provide based on what you're grouping. You're grouping based on the country. And then I am defining, okay, the salary column. I want to know the average of salary column by each country. I means I group the data set by country. I group the data set by country. Then what I have done from the salary column, I got the average of all salaries for each specific that group item for that country. See, so the average of UK salary is higher than the USA and than the Canada and even Australia. So this is how you're actually doing the group by, and then calling any other subsequent functionality you wanted. For example, you did the group by of the mm, uh, data set by country, and then you wanted to understand the performance score, yeah? The performance score per each country. This is performance score. Average of performance score, yeah? This is how, see? So UK has the highest average performance score, and the lowest performance score was from USA. So this is how you uh, calculate the performance score and average performance score by country. First of all, you have to call group by. This is how a group by works. Um, let's have, for example, um, okay, let's have a 5 minutes break, I think. Otherwise, uh, we will be going through some questions right now, if there are any questions. Yes, Mursal Rashidi, you have a question, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Sir, I had a question that I have like faced this problem many times, but like it is solved, then again the same problem will happen. Like the file that you had shared it with us in Google Classroom, the homework one, which was with our names, and when it is saved in my drive, it is saved by .csv.g sheet. And when I copy the path of it and paste it on Google Club, then it doesn't accept it. But like when I upload it from my files, which is like in the form of .csv, then that is there and it will be corrected. Then when I come to this file again, then again the same problem will happen, because that file that I have uploaded there will be like it says that it will be deleted after you close the page, something like this. My question is that how to save my file in the form of .csv, which will be remained in my drive.
You can search it online. I think that's a very easy question. You can do that. You can just this is I can save or whatever type of make a copy of that, make a download of this my file and CSV, TSV, PDF, open the whatever you wanted, so you can do it. I think you can just if you have a look at how you're dealing with the files. .g sheet is not the solution. You have to have access to .csv. Okay, Ilyas Mohammadi, if you have a question.
Hello, sir. Can we use logical operators in filtering the data frames like and or?
Yeah, you can use that. You will do that.
Can you?
You can do that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Ashley.
Good afternoon, sir. So thank you so much for the lesson. I would like to ask, how are we going if we're using the group by function? How are we going to add sort values to that equation? Are we going to add it right after the mean? I just wanted to see how would that work.
You want to add sort to that?
Yeah, sorting values, Professor. Ascending or descending?
With the group by, you mean?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, so it's automatically gets sorted. See, but not here. It gets sorted by this column. So if you're calling group by, this whatever column is you're calling group by, that column gets sorted. But if you want to sort it by other types of columns, we will work through it during our lessons later on. If you want to just
Okay.
sort it by the mean value, you mean, yeah?
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, you want to sort it by the mean values, yeah?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so we will work that. So any other questions? Habibi, yes.
Thank you, sir. I wanted just to know that in SQL we have that the group by function is working only with the aggregate functions. Is it the same in the Python as well?
I think yeah, it's the same. Because you have to call something after the group by. You're grouping by a specific column, but then why? But I tried it in different versions of Python. It will work different ways. But one of the things which I remember from my previous experiences, after the I think it was the lower versions of Python, that if you just call the group by function, you have to add an aggregate after that as well. Similarly, within the Python and within the pandas, it's the same thing. Whenever you are grouping by, then after the group by, you have to call an aggregation function as well. Or at least if not an aggregation function, at least you have to call another column as well. That's important. It's the same logic like SQL, as you said. Mario, Said?
Yes, sir. Hello and good afternoon to everyone. First of all, I would like to say thank you so much for your great presenting. Way you are presenting is really understandable, and we are really appreciate for that. But I have no question, but I have a suggestion or maybe a comment. We have some classmates who took contact with me and said that the English is not so good, so that's why they says that if it's possible for you, the key points, if you can present it in this, some Dari words, that will be more understandable for them. So
Yeah, thank you for
it was
advocating.
just
Yeah, thank you for advocating.
yes.
I mean, I think it's your first time you just joined us. We did a poll survey at the beginning of this course. Majority decided that the language will be English. And that's it. It's done. We will be proceeding with the majority. If someone doesn't understand English properly, how you will pass the Google certification exam, which will be in English. I'm also not comfortable with English. I would love to talk in our own language, but thing is that you have to be mentally a bit ready whenever you're facing the last exam of Google certification. You will be ready in all those terms. You will hear that, already heard that, and you will be familiar with. My aim is to get you passed through that certification and get that certification done. And that's not in our own languages, unfortunately, because we are not owning Google and we actually don't own anything. And that's the sad part of that tech sector. But still, this is the aim. I'm very familiar and I'm very comfortable with our own languages. This is how it was decided at the beginning. So please close this chapter. If someone doesn't understand it, I told them that I'm all the time at your disposal. You can just tell me, okay, at the end of the class, I didn't got this one, explain it to me in Dari, Pashto, um, Russian, Arabic, any other languages which I can speak. So that would be not a problem. But the main language we kept to be in English. Ali Sirat, the last question, please.
Okay, thank you very much. So I have a question for you. In the data describe, so you have counted the like a mean standard deviation, minimum 25%, 50%, and 75%. My question is about 25% and 50, for example, 75%. Is it like 25% is the 25% of the total salary they get, or how it works?
It's the 25% of all the numbers of columns existing within that data frame.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
We will be, if we call a histogram, then we will be understanding that when we are going to use the data distribution.
Okay, thank you very much.
During the histogram, you will understand that. Okay. Let's now proceed with the lessons. I just Ashley told me how to do the sort. I just call the sort values here. This is just a simple method. You cannot having a function, but you will just call a method here at the end of. So this without sorted values, automatically the group by function will be sorted by country column, by whatever column that you're having right now. But if you want to sort it by the later column, which is the performance score, you have to call the sort values. And within the sort values, automatically it sorts the values by from the lowest to the highest. But if you want to sort it from the highest to the lowest, so vice versa, you have to again call the ascending to false, and then it sorts the columns from the highest number, so it means from Z to A. So this is how sorting will work. And Habibi asked me about the aggregation function. Aggregation is very mandatory, so let's check it. For example, if we don't have an aggregation function here, as within SQL, if you want to just group by a column by div, it won't work. See? You have to call an aggregation function. So, okay, just call it salary, for example. And even if you have another column, which is salary, for this, if there is no aggregation function, it won't work. You have to call at least a function, aggregation function. So I just call sum, for example. You can just call it in of that function. And similarly, you can just sort the value. So this is just to show you how you can do that with aggregations or not aggregations. This was the group by function, which is one of the important functions. But let's see that, for example, we have two data frames. Assume that we have a data frame that is the let's define what's the one that we defined previously. One more thing at div one I want to add. That would be the here's the div. Where's div one? Here's div one. Within this div one, I want to also add employee ID. So we have employee ID, employee name, salary, and good. This is div one. This is div one. Let's define div two. Div two, for example, we have employee ID. And we have country. And we have performance score. Good. So these are two data frames, 1 and 2. If you want to, there are two methods to merge these data frames. One is called concatenating the data frames. Another is called merging the data frames. Let's see how concatenate works. If we call PD dot concat of what? div1 and div2. And let's see how the result looks like. This is how concatenate works. Let me explain it to you here. What is the difference between merging and between concatenating? In merging and concatenating, it just brings two data sets back to each other. So you have this data, for example, and 1, 2, and 3. Yes. And you have, for example, another data, which is A, B, C, values of 4, 5, and 6, and so on. If you concatenate these two data frames, this is one data frame, and this is second data frame. If you say div1 and then div2, it means concatenate. It brings all these values and put it at the end of another data frame, without understanding that maybe there are two A's. See, there are two names similar. There are two B's here. There are two C's. It doesn't make any sense for concatenation. It just uh, links two data sets together, back to back. That's it. This is the function of concatenating. If you have another column here, for example, maybe data 2, and these are also numbers. These are also numbers. It gets the whole data, the whole columns from that data set, and just concatenate it here. See? It brings all that another data set with the third column as well here. But here what happens in the first data frame, we don't have any columns here, yeah? So it just puts you what? It puts you none, like nil values. See? All nil values. Because these are not existing in the first data frame, but it will fill it. It will just keep this whole structure of this is how concatenation works. See, we concatenated two data sets. It works like that. And in the similar way, if you just if you have, for example, if you don't have this column here, for example, yeah, you don't have this column here. You have only data 1 and data 2. So you're bringing data 1, data 2 here. See, and these are nothing here, yeah? So this is empty here. Here it will be non-values. Within this even concatenated data set, when there is no column existing, so it will get the none. This is how the whole data set will look like if you're concatenating data sets. Just bringing two data sets back to back. But there is another method as well. It's called merging data set. Okay, how merged data set will look like? We will be calling pd dot merge how. What is how? We will be merging df1, df2 on what? We have to find a specific unique key based on which key we want to merge. Employee ID. Yes, employee ID is a unique key on employee ID. And now the very important part, how you're merging it. For example, inner, yeah? We will be then talking about these, what is inner, left, right, so how this merge means. Now, if you call the merge div, this data set that we had, these two, div1, div2, it has been merged on employee ID. There is no duplication. The only key is the employee ID. Whatever names are existing in div1, it gets from div1. Whatever existing from div2 data, it gets from div2. See, div1, what was div1? Div1 was just employee ID, name, salary, gender. So this name, salary, and gender. This was div1, yeah? What was div2? Div2 was employee ID, country and performance score. Country and performance score. See? Country performance score. Whenever you are merging that, it gets one unique key. This employee ID as a unique key, and merge inner all the data sets together internally. You can then merge left, merge right, merge outer. It's the similar like SQL. We will be explaining all this when we are dealing with them statistics, and also during the um, um, data visualization, how the merge work. So it's type of joining left, joining right, union. Can you mute yourself? Someone is not mute. Uh, okay, thank you. And this is how the merge within the pandas works. Um, from pandas point of view, which is relevant to the data analytics, I think all the basics we covered, and all the basics have been covered within the pandas. How you can understand the group by the merging data frames, which are important. Also the joining. So these are the standard functions that we are using on daily basis when we are analyzing data sets. That's very um, important, and you have to understand the key concepts. It's very difficult to cover all aspects of pandas, but we just covered the standard ones that we were asked, we are required to do for the data analytics and advanced data analytics. We will be doing this, practicing this pandas during our practical work as well, during the data visualization, during the machine learning module, during the statistics. So all the difficult aspects will be covered there, and it will be coming step by step. But these are the basics which are required for the data analytics. The important things from the pandas, NumPy, and tomorrow, hopefully, we will be completing the matplotlib. So matplotlib is also for data visualization, is a component of data visualization. We will be also putting some of the uh, requirements for 𝗔𝗱𝘃𝗃. 𝗔𝗃𝘃 is also one of the libraries which is required for data visualization within Python. Plotly is another interactive visualization module for Python. We will be not having specific lessons on that, but lectures on that. We will be practicing it during our courseworks. So then you will get to know what is going on there. So this is how the pandas works actually. The lessons that we are doing, it works right now actually. Um, um, any questions in this record? I am at your disposal. And I wanted to just proceed with the with the data set that we had for our assignment. For this assignment, we asked that you have to find the performance score, the country, the employee ID. So it was using actually the group by function, then aggregation functions of for example, mean that you have to use at the end of that for the performance score. So these were very simple methods that you already understand that, and you utilized during our latest coursework that we had. Any questions? So the question is that everyone is on classroom or not? Emal Amiri, if you have a question, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I wanted to concatenate the two data frames, but like I am getting an error. I don't. I will share my screen. Maybe you can help me. So let me share the screen. Oh yeah, here it is. Okay, so can you see my screen?
No, not yet. Now, yeah, it's loading. Yeah, it's loading. Okay. What is?
Can you see it now?
Yeah, I can see it now.
Good. So in here, as you see, like I'm just like trying to concatenate the df1 and df2. I have both of them. I was able to merge this in here. That looks fine. But in concatenating, it's like throwing this error. I just like removed the on. I was thinking that it will be like asking for the on, but it's still not working for some reason. Do you know, like?
Yeah, can you show us what is df1, df2?
Yeah, I just copied your code like for. It should be somewhere in here. This is the df. This is df1.
Okay, just run it.
Okay.
Run it.
Yeah.
Maybe. It's run. Okay. Come to df2. What is df2?
Df2 should be here. Let me find that. So yeah, it's here. Yeah, employee ID, country, and performance score. So
just run that. Yeah.
But in the result, I can concatenate.
Just wait a bit.
Sir, may I interrupt? I was
Please.
able to, if that's okay, sir, I was able to see Imal's DF1. I believe he was able to put two genders in the code. So you can scroll back there, Imal. I think you were able to put two genders in the code. That might be the issue.
You mean the duplication of the column?
Yes.
But we also have like the employee ID, like at the same time that we use for for merging. I don't think this will be the issue, but let me try.
No. Just come back to the concat. So what it says all the time before just going to the just run the concat again.
Let's try indexing. Okay, let me try.
Just go to run the concat again.
Yeah, it works now. Yeah, it works.
No, bring the result. Bring the result. Yes, run it.
Great, it works fine. Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. Maybe it was the gender issue, as Ashley mentioned.
The duplication of two columns together, yeah? So it gives two columns in one data frame. But one more thing that you have to understand. Look, just what's the difference? Within the if1, you had duplicated column, but you have one column of gender in df1 and another column of gender in df2. That is not a problem. It's the way that concat will work. So that will not assumed as a duplication. But if within one data frame you have two duplicated columns, so then it will change the shape of the data frames. Got it? So if within div2 you have another gender column, that would be not a problem. It works. Because, for example, employee ID, you have employee ID in both divs, yeah? That's not a problem. In div1, you can have country as well. In div2, you can have gender as well. So not a problem. It will work.
Got it. Yeah.
You got my point, Iman?
So yeah, the column should be like available in both.
No, not should. If say I mean, it means duplication. اگر یک ستون تکراری داشته باشید یک دیتا فریم، بازی که سر شیپ دیتا فرق میکنه، سر شیپ دیتا تاثیر میکنه. وقتی که کانکت میکنید، مثلا 2 دانه جندر کالم داشتی در دیتا فریم یک، لیکن اگر جندر کالم در دیتا فریم یک هم داشته باشی، جندر کالم در دیتا فریم دوم هم داشته باشی، هیچ کدام مشکل نیست، کانکت کار میکنه و پرابلم نیست. لیکن اگر 2 دانه عین چیز کالم در یک دیتا فریم داشته باشی، بخواید دیتا فریم دوم کتش یک جای کنی، دیتا فریم دوم نمیفهمه که خب کدام از این اوریجینال است، کدام از این من کانکت کنم. فهمیدی باری کردم؟ شیپ فرق میکنه. شیپ دیتا، هر دیتا فریم از خود شیپ داره. شیپ چی مانه؟ اونم اری که خوانده بودیم، نه؟ مثل ماتریکس وری چند در چند، نه؟ اینو میره شیپ دیتا فریم میگه. وقتی که یک جندر اضافه میکنی، یک شیپ دیگه اضافه کردین. مثلا داشتیم ما شما 5 در 9 5 در 9 شیپ فایل ماست، به این معنی که 5 رو 9 کالم داریم. جندر اضافه کردی 10 کالم شد، نه؟ وقتی که کانکت میکنی کتش یک دیتا فریم دیگه ایران میمونه که خب کدام از این دو تا نه جندر، کدام از این اوریجینال امو مین پارت دیتا فریم است که کتازو کانکتنیشن صورت بگیره. در مورد شاید این صورت نگیره، لیکن اگر مثلا امو کالم در 2 تا دیتا فریم داشته باشی، پرابلم نیست، فرق نمیکنه. او باز یکی دیگه خود پیدا میکنه، کتمو باز خود مرج میکنه، یک جای میکنه.
شکر.
پرابلمش نیست. Yes, Ashley.
Yes, Professor. I just want to ask, when we're doing the df.info, open and close parentheses, if there's any way that we would like to change a specific data type, can you show us how we're going to code that? Because when I was doing the DIKW data set that we had during the first session, we had to save the comma separated value file on our own. So there were floating values there that become integer when it was loaded to my Google Colab. So I had to use Gemini for help because I needed to translate the 2 integers, like 2 values in two data types in integers into a floating point. So I wanted to ask, because you did say that when we use generative AI, you can see the difference. So how are we going to code that if it's like a human that's gonna do that? So I just wanted to ask if that's possible.
I'm just trying to understand the question again and be a bit specific. For example, within this .info, as you mentioned, this .info, here you want
Yes.
to any type of data files. You want to change any type of data types here.
Yes. For example, sir, if we want to change performance score and job satisfaction to a floating point, what would be the code that we would do if in case we want to change the data type for those variables?
It's very easy. For example, let's do that. There's a function called assign type of specific function. For example, you want to df performance score, yeah? You want to change the performance score, yeah? To what? To performance score. Simply call as type. You just call as type. Assigned a new type. A new type of what? For example, yeah? So new type of, for example, whatever you want, for example. As you mentioned, right now we have integer. Let's put it, for example, float, yeah? If you just call df.info again, look, performance score is now float, 64. It's not now, not integer. So by defining the as type, assign type, data type, whatever here, you can just change that one as simple. You got it?
Yes, thank you so much, sir.
Okay. At the end of this course, I will be just assigning you a short assignment right now. You will be having 7 minutes or maybe 10 minutes to just a 5 questionnaire um, uh, responded. I think it's I really don't know how to do it for all students, but I will try to do that if it works. If it didn't works, then it's a very that you're very lucky. if, if it's not working. Uh, and these are very simple responses. I'll just share with you the link. You can just go to the link and with the email addresses you have uh, um, in the classroom, you will just fill them. This is a simple assignment, a very simple one, with just several questions. The aim of this assignment is just to keep you in the loop all the time, not to forget the things you have studied previously. We will do this the same till end of the course. One of the good techniques of learning is not just be a super learner at one time. The good technique of learning is repetition. Learn small things and continuously, and then repeat it all the time. So whenever you have repetitions, then it will sit in your mind all the time, and it will remain there for a long time, and you will learn it properly. This method, that repetitive learning type of methods with small chunk of information and knowledge, it will work for data scientists and data analysts all the time. Otherwise, heavy concepts, learning it at once today, understand it today, and just forget it, then that's not type of learning. You will not learn anything. You're good today, but tomorrow you will forget about it. So this is how we will be dividing the knowledge information into chunks, and all the time you will be just um, repeating it. That's not a bad thing. If you have a responded question is wrong, that's not a bad thing. But thing is that you're just ignoring it, or you're not asking question which you don't know. That's the bad thing about it. So this is a type of till now I received 16 responses. We will be not receiving responses after 2 minutes, 2 minutes and end of this course. So now it's 14:27. So 14:30, we will be stopping receiving the responses.
Sorry, I didn't know where is the message. Sorry.
Tomorrow, hopefully, we will be learning the basics of Matplot for the data analytics. And next week, then tomorrow, not during the lecture, but after the lecture, I will be assigning you a simple assignment for the week. And then next week, hopefully, ahead, we will be starting with the data visualization. So for the data visualization, we will be starting with a specific data set, a larger one. And I really don't know everyone has proper access to the internet. If all of you have proper access to the internet, we will be using online data analytics platforms that it will be easy for everyone to join that. For example, we can use Kaggle. If proper internet is not available, then I think we will be using I will be just downloading the data set for you. We will be using the offline method. Okay, thank you very much for your attention today. And today, our lecture is officially completed. Any questions, any additional things that you don't know in any other languages you want me to explain? So I'm here to do so for you. And thank you for the participation and for all